Welcome to the Simplified Dentistry podcast. Join us as we discuss clinical, operational, and financial aspects of your practice, help you enjoy life, and dare to simplify dentistry.
Welcome to the Simplified Dentistry podcast. My name is Richard Offit. My co-host is Dr. Mustafa Shakan. Today we have Johnette Green, Regional Director of Provide Bank, a dental-specific lender.
We would like to mention our friends at Provide Bank. Provide has a focus on financing for today's dentists. Dentists built a career changing patients' lives. Provide was built to change ours. Powered by Fifth Third Bank, Provide empowers entrepreneurs to build their legacies. As a leader in tech-enabled financial services, please text SIMPLIFY to 214-620-9577 and see how Johnette Green can become your banking partner.
Welcome, Johnette. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Johnette, thank you for being with us.
Well, we hope for you to unlock all of the mystery in banking today. Just a small task. You've got 15 minutes. No,
That's right.
no. You have as long as you want. But so what are you doing today? What are your clients? How are you interacting with your clients?
Well, we are busy time of year. End of year seems to be the busiest, the end of the year and beginning of the year. So a lot of clients buying practices and buying real estate, becoming business owners or expanding their practices. That's what we do. And that's my everyday. So it's crunch time right now for us.
So tell me a little bit. So Provide obviously does practice acquisition financing. What's the scope of what you guys do for dentists?
So we're a practice finance lender. So we're a specialty lender. We only loan to healthcare professionals, doctors, dentists, and we help them become business owners and give them the money to do so, to buy practices and build buildings and purchase buildings and really just build their career from the beginning when they first become an owner all the way until when they decide that they're ready to hang it up and retire.
Is it important? Is it important to the dentist? Is it important to Dr. Shakan and I that we would use a specialty lender that caters to our industry? What's the edge there?
Versus just
versus
any banker.
We're in Charlotte,
Truist,
we
Bank
have
of America,
a million banks. A lot of them are headquartered here. What's the difference?
So specialty lending for the dental community, you'll want to use a bank that understands the business. This is a different type of loan. So for instance, if you buy a car wash, you're buying a business too. But for practice finance, you get so many perks. Banks love dentists and they love business owners.
I love dentists.
Yeah, they love it. They want to loan money to them. But when you're trying to leverage the bank as a dentist, you'll want to be one that understands the business side of it, that has the most aggressive tools for you to have a loan, and you get the best rates and terms on the loan. So you definitely want to narrow your field. You'll always have a local bank in town, your local bank on the corner. And I'm sure they provide great service, but they're really not a specialist in the dental industry for that type of loan that they need to grow their business.
So when I came out and when Dr. Offit came out, I think Barney Rubble was his partner.
You kept your money in the mattress.
That's right. That's right. So when Dr. Offit came out, you could basically go to the banker and say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," and they just kind of gave it to you. You think that's appropriate?
Yeah. To your point, they figured they'd just work us to death until we paid it back.
Yeah. And then when I came out, it was obviously a little tighter, but it was a lot. I felt like it was easier to get practice financing from the bankers at 100% financing, great terms and things like that, and very friendly. My brother's a dentist. When he came out, the environment was even tighter. So you always thought you had to be able to work with somebody you could get in front of and it was around the corner. How is it working with a national provider like you guys?
I think it's different because you can always, banks are usually standing in line to give a dentist a loan. But is it the right loan? And are you going to be able to scale the business? Some of the differences that I'm seeing today with new business owners is, they're not thinking they're going to be chairside for their entire career. I have lots of clients that are buying practices from dentists, and they've always had maybe one practice. New business owners today, they're looking at it differently. They're looking at, how can I scale this business? How can I really have more of a business approach versus a clinical approach to my business? And what's my runway to retirement? So I feel like they really have more of a make sense approach to the way they want to do business, and choosing the lender in the front end of that is essential.
Yeah, that goes to something that Johnette, you and I spoke about, and that is that initial decision for the lender and how that affects the next time you want to do something, the next time you want to do something, the second and third times that you want to actually go to the lender to scale your business. Talk a little bit about that, if you would, the critical nature of the first decision.
Yeah, as I mentioned, you may have 3 or 4 banks talking with a new business owner saying, sure, we'll be happy to give you the money. We'll be happy to give you that first loan. But when you want to start scaling, I noticed, maybe in 3 to 5 years ago, doctors that they were taking, smaller practices and smaller square footage, and they were leasing. Today, they're looking at a larger footprint so that they can maximize the practice to its full potential, so they can have more patients. And maybe they even have an associate come on. Maybe they have a business partner. So they're limiting, their overhead so that they can be, more financially set in that practice and be more profitable. That's what it's about. But you want to be with the right lender in the beginning, so that you can get larger square footage, or you could buy real estate and not have a landlord, be your own landlord. So I think that is something that doctors are thinking of today, of how do I maximize my profitability in one location and then expand organically through that, either through buying real estate or even a leasing a space. So I see that, they're really getting smarter.
Yeah, so like there's a big banking group out of Wilmington, and Dr. Offit and I talked to them previously on something else. They will only lend to a dentist if they have real estate. Is real estate a caveat for what you guys are doing? Is it more advantageous? So if I come into it with owner-occupied real estate options versus Dr. Offit coming into it with lease, are my rates different and my terms different? Or how do y'all look at that?
Not at all. I mean, they'll be the same. They're 2 different loans. So we know that a dentist can be successful in a lease space just as they can be successful in when they own the real estate. So when we're looking at a loan for the practice side of it, it's all about cash flow. How much money's coming in the door and how much money has to go out. And we want you to also be able to increase your income and save some money at the same time. So it's about risk, how we look at these loans. But if you lease, we have those type of loans. You'll find that in the industry just as easy. Real estate, like, gets a little more complicated. So when you're choosing the lender, that's something you'll want to be thinking of, is how do they approach it? Do you have to have money down? Are they willing to finance 100% financing on a real estate acquisition as well, or ground up construction? So there are those products out in the industry. Those are some of the things that are changing I've seen in the last 5 years. And Provide was part of that change and that innovation in the industry.
Yeah, and I know you can't talk specific rates because everybody's different in specific terms, but does Provide do 100% on construction? Do they do 100% on practice acquisition and finance? And are you looking at 7 years, 10 years, 5 years? What is the term on kind of practice finance aspects?
Yes, we do have products where it's 100% financing across the board. It depends on the borrower.
Sure.
So what the doctor can do, especially if you're not a business owner today, what you can do is make yourself the most appealing candidate to the banks, to us and any other bank that you may be working with.
And how do you do that?
Liquidity is the name of the game. You want to save as much cash as possible right now. You want your payments overall to be the lowest so that you can afford the most loan. For instance, you want your mortgage, your car payment, your student loans. You want those payments as low as possible, even on student loans and income based. So you want to have the lowest overhead that you can afford the biggest loan. And you want to have cash in the bank. We don't want you to put your own money down. We just want to see that you can save it. So that really helps you leverage the banks when you're using that type of strategy and really preparing yourself Putting people around you, your advisors that understand the industry and they're going to guide you as you're preparing. I may talk to a doctor, 1 to 3 years before they become an owner. So we've got runway, we've got time to make sure that they're setting themselves up the right way so they can leverage the bank and get the most financing from the bank. You don't want to use your own money. You want to use the bank's money.
In the risk mitigation part of what you were just talking about, lots of times we've had some folks on our podcast that they talk about a little about what you just were saying and a lot of doctors are very concerned. They'll come out of dental school and they'll owe $400,000 in school loans, and so in terms of risk mitigation, that provide you understand that that's just part of the deal, right? I mean, dentists are coming out of school with school debt. And so talk a little bit about that. That would be helpful, I think, especially for folks that are just trying to get it going.
I think it's kind of like my thought is that student loan piece such a negative that you don't want to touch this? Or, docs want to come out and they have the student loan, but they also want to have a decent house, so taking all those things into account, it may not give a perfect balance sheet, but do you guys take that into account when you know what a dental practice does?
A practice finance lender, they're going to understand that you're going to have debt. A local bank, they're not going to get that. They're going to look at your balance sheet and say, okay, your debts to your assets, they're way off. So it's going to be more difficult. But for a practice finance lender, we understand that. We know you have debt. We don't even mind that you have debt. We want you to really prepare yourself for a rainy day. And that's why cash is so important today. We want to know that we're going to have a practice for you or build a business for you, that you're going to be able to make those minimum payments while you're growing your wealth and you're growing your business, because the business is the only thing that's ever going to pay down your debt.
Sure.
So we want you to have the lowest payments possible. So we don't mind that you have it. A lot of dentists will come out of school saying, all right, I want to be an associate so that I can pay off my debt right away, because I do not like debt, as no one does. But it doesn't bother us because we understand you're going to be able to generate the income to make those payments and more.
Do you think it's better for for the doc to work with a dental specific CPA to kind of put all this, get everything prepared before they come to provide, or do you think it doesn't matter what type of CPA?
I think it's important for a dentist to use specialists all around as their advisors, financial advisors, CPAs, banks, everybody that they're really leaning on in order to get their advice and make their decisions. I think it should always be dental specific.
In building that team, Johnette, when the dentist comes out of school or residency or what have you, and they decide they're going to build this team around them, and that's kind of what you're saying is a team or network or whatever. And they do want to buy a practice, and they know that that's out there. How far in advance should they start planning that? I mean, if when should they make contact with you? When should they have their dental specific CPA or financial planning organization in place?
Should it be day one?
Yeah. I mean, but how far in advance? How should they plan to interface with you?
Well, I mean, I'm talking to these dentists when they're still in dental school. Okay. So kind of setting the seeds then of, hey, let's not make mistakes along the way. What steps should I be taking financially to put myself in the best position to make myself the best candidate to either buy a practice or, start a practice? A lot of doctors, they find that they want to start their practice from, the ground up, basically. So depending on what direction that they're going, their advice would be different. And what their financial situation is today, they may be a single person or they may be a married person with kids. So we customize that approach for them to make sure that what does their timeline look like? Do they want to do it in a year, in 3 years? So we'll customize that for them. But I always say it's never too early to educate yourself, put yourself in the best situation. But I'd say a year before you think you're going to be an owner, that's at minimum, we want to be connecting. As far as a CPA in the front end, you don't really need that as long as you know you're making the right steps. A CPA usually gets involved when you have a practice in mind and you want to look at the numbers. The bank's going to do their own financial analysis. And trust me, if it doesn't work, the bank's not going to loan the money.
Sure.
Okay. So it's going to work if we're able to get the loan approved and provide the financing for you, the numbers are going to work. So is there enough opportunity in that practice for you? What is it today? Does it really scale with your future and that your long-term goals? So that's the kind of advice that, you should be receiving when you're thinking of buying. You'll also use a lawyer to help you with the documents. Once again, it's typically after you find the practice.
Yep.
So usually you're using a bank to lean on of, am I making the right decisions? And have I found the right opportunity? Is there opportunity growth in this practice of what I want it to be?
So for our listeners, obviously we try to present very objective information. Everybody should take a look at our website, Simplified DDS, where we're housing our podcast. So there'll be yours, there'll be dental specific CPA, so they can kind of get the information to do that. On our Facebook group, we're also having information from guys, some people like you, from US Bank, from other people. If you had to look at it, what's the difference between, I see the big ones out there being Provide, US Bank, Huntington Bank, doing a lot of practice finance. What distinguishes Provide?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So what you'll find with us is that we started about 10 years ago, and we were recently purchased by Fifth Third Bank. So we were a mom and pop, right? We were a small business owned business. It's not different from the other stories of, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. They were all mom and pops too before they were purchased by a bank. So it's kind of but I think what made us different is that we really focused on technology and really the mindset of the new dentist owners and what they're looking for. They want to have efficiency. They want to have, professionals in the industry that really know what they're doing. They're not, coming in the door and out the door like a revolving door, right? Of bankers. You'll find in some of the banks that really it's a stepstone to another role in the bank.
Sure.
Once you get to practice finance, you'll find that, especially with Provide, we're really leaders in the industry. We care about our doctors. We want to make sure they're making good financial decisions because we want them to be our clients for their entire career, possibly. So I think that with us, that you're going to find that we have a more make sense approach to financing, and we're able to offer loans that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's less about interest rate and more about expertise. And are you really setting yourself up for your financial goals?
You segued right into what my next question is, many times you are talking with folks and they're comparing quarter point differences, basis point differences between one loan and another. And what you just said seems to be that to me it was always the deal's more important than the rate. And maybe that's folding myself right into what the banker loves. But I always felt making the deal was more important than a quarter of a point difference between one lender and another.
Well, like when I was going through some of this stuff, we were dealing with Bank of America practice solutions, and a lot of it was their dental, their doctor division. And I remember my CPA at one point was like, I hear what they're saying on the front end, but the person that is analyzing this thing has no concept of what it is. He said, basically, we just need to show them that we have all of the cash to pay for it with cash if the loan goes awry. And that just didn't make any sense to him. He's like, why would we work with somebody like that? And it sounds like Provide is different than that.
Yeah, we're different. We're really looking at the business as you're buying as the machine. The machine is what is producing income. Is it a great opportunity for you? Are you a good fit for that practice?
You're financing a job, basically,
Yeah, we're financing an engine. An engine creates money for you as the new owner. And what is it today? What has it been in the past? And what's it going to be in the future? So we really have a more long-term look of your success versus the other banks that you mentioned. It's one and done for them. So we're about scalability. Are you choosing the lender that's going to grow with you as you evolve and grow as a business owner? So I think that's the major difference is we really get in the mindset of the dentist of what is important to them and what's going to make them successful. You don't hear this at other banks. You don't hear this type of talk. So you'll hear, like I said, they're going to be willing to give you the first loan, but it's all those other loans after that that's really going to escalate your success. That, in my opinion, makes us different.
So let's talk about the relationship and all the additional loans. So, I know you're talking about practice finance and expansion and real estate and things like that. I obviously have a mortgage too. At some point in time, I may want a second house and things like that. Are you guys involved in that aspect, or are you just specifically on the commercial side?
We do offer home loans for our doctors from day one of ownership, which is very unique. And it's 100% financed as well.
Oh,
So you
that's
don't
great.
bring money to the table as if you went to, another home mortgage. Because remember, we're doing the loan on your business. So we know what your income's going to be. So we're able to provide a loan for you as well on your home.
With Fifth Third acquisition, hindrance, help? What I mean, now that I guess Fifth Third is a publicly traded company, so now there's publicly traded aspects that you have to deal with. How does that impact what you're doing to provide?
Well, we were so excited about the acquisition because it brought us so much more availability and loans and leverage to our dentist, meaning that we had loans that we could offer for real estate, 100% financing, for longer terms, lower rates, all of the things that the dentists are looking for. They could get home mortgage loans, right? And so we love that. And plus, we also have our banking team too. So you don't have to call a 1-800 number.
Sure.
I mean, we're the 10th largest bank in the US, but we're a big bank, but we still have that small bank feel. So it was really like wonderful. They were already one of our business partners, so we knew them very well, and we were very excited about the acquisition, and it has just really helped us grow immensely.
That's super. I guess just more a bigger credit facility, more access to capital, and lets you do your job more easily. I guess that is the takeaway on that. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
we all know practice finance. I've been in the industry. I've been a banker for 19 years and doing practice finance for 13 of those. So, I mean, we see lots of deals. So I think, being an expert means also that you have a lot of tenure in the industry and you focus just on that.
Yeah.
So we're just really blessed to be in the industry and serve dentists and doctors, and we love it. We bend over backwards to help them.
And I think the simplest thing for docs to understand, we're simple creatures. If I do crowns and I do crowns all day, every day, I'm better at it than Dr. Offit doing a crown.
Yeah, you don't want me you don't want
once a
me.
month.
I was a gum guy. You don't want me doing teeth.
Plus, you don't want me doing surgery. So
Right.
having
Works out.
having specificity, I think, really helps. And I think dentists should be able to understand that. I mean, you can be a jack of all trades, and you're okay at all of them, but you can specialize and you're really good at that. And I think that's kind of what you're saying that Provide does.
Let's shift a little bit. Tell me what you see in the future. You hold the card up to your head. Tell me what you see when you out there coming your way, coming down the highway for the dental profession in terms of lending, and I know this is one of the topics you and I talked about in one of our phone calls. But so what do you see out there?
Well, really, I'm seeing, as I mentioned, that doctors are wanting to scale and have more than just the one, 2,000 square foot practice, right? They're looking for other opportunities, and they're looking to educate themselves on how do I really grow my practice and make it the most efficient. So how do I make it the most profitable business possible? In the meantime, and maintaining the high level of clinical dentistry as well, so that they're taking care of the patients. They really want to do a great job and have a great place for their employees to work and a great place for their patients to come. So I think that is kind of turning. It's more, I'm seeing there's more of an emotional aspect in the business, where is it the place that I want to work? Am I going to be happy? Do I have the life work balance? So all of that's coming into play. I think that, lending is still there, right? Rates change, terms change, the markets change, but, I guess my goal would be is, if you're going to wait to become an owner, why? What are you waiting for? And, time is money, people. So definitely don't let anything stand in your way of what you want. Let's figure out a way to get it done. And if I can help with that, I'd love to do it.
Dr. Off and I were talking this morning, actually, on one other quick thing. Let's say you have 3 practices and they want to come together. They don't necessarily want to sell to a DSO to create the infrastructure and the scale, but let's say 3 of us want to come together, kind of level shares, whether he has $1 million practice, I have $1.5 million practice, the other guy has a $2 million practice. So we want to level our interest in it and become an entity and then grow that. What do you guys look at as far as financing needs for groups like that? Is that attractive to you or not?
Yeah, we have some what we call small groups that we help finance. Just depends. I've got, several clients that they may have 6 or 8 locations. But it's really not about how many locations you can get. Today, I feel like they're looking at how efficient can I make it? How profitable can I make this business?
Sure.
And in this location. So 5 years ago, it was all about, okay, I want 1 practice, 2 practices, 3 practices. They're all going to be de novos and startups, right? We're going to grow them, then we're going to have 20, and then we're going to sell it. That's really not the approach today. I find that they're looking more for how can I make it the biggest, most efficient, most profitable practice available, and then grow organically. Or if I have more than 1 doctor, then maybe they're acquiring practices along the way versus starting them to grow to that big model. But we do have an appetite for those type of groups. Either they're a group today or they're going to be a group in the future. So more doctors means more dentistry to us.
It's interesting that you said that, and this will be my last point as well, is that it's and a lot of dentists don't understand this. It's not a matter of stacking EBITDA on top of each other. It's a matter of having a business that you can actually grow. And so I think that point is often missed. And I appreciate very much your speaking to that. Johnette, what I'd like to do is thank you for being on Simplified Dentistry podcast with us. Dr. Chacon and myself, we always enjoy doing this. And you tolerated both of us very well, and
very few people do that.
Yeah, and I think we were polite. I hope so. But Johnette, thank you very much for being on our podcast. And it's Johnette Green at Provide Bank. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.